Good evening, or good morning, actually. Been setting up for this for a while. Thanks for having long. Welcome, Mount Pleasant. Good to have everybody here. I'm David DeGroot, and as the Mount Pleasant Village President, I'm so pleased to welcome all of you to Mount Pleasant and Racine County to celebrate the next steps of Microsoft's data center investment. It's just a great day for Mount Pleasant. And I should mention, the venue that we're at here today is not Mount Pleasant. It is, however, in Mount Pleasant's eastern suburb, which is a place also known as City of Racine. Is there a mix under? I say that tongue in cheek because I just wanted to thank Lori and staff of Festival Hall for enabling us to have this venue today in the lake this year. So joining this room full of incredible partners is the best way to start a Thursday that I can imagine. Looking out at my colleagues, I see folks here from Racine County, Milwaukee 7, Racine County Economic Development Corporation, and City of Wisconsin. We're working together to make great things happen throughout the region, but this project and the partnerships that make it possible are especially momentous. It all started just a few years ago when I had the chance to meet and sit across the table from Microsoft's leaders. They shared their vision to invest billions of dollars in a data center campus, and I knew that was the opportunity to sustain and strengthen Mount Pleasant for generations to come. This was a story of opportunity meeting preparation. Here in Southeast Wisconsin, we had assembled a team who had the foresight to create a complete mega site that was ready for development with utilities, power, fiber, and everything else that was needed. And part of that, my team is here, and I'd just like to make some introductions for anybody that I call. Please stand up, hold your applause until I get through my group. Village board members, David Garris, Ann Doxey, Nancy Washburn, Denise Anastasio, Ram Bhatia, Jim Venturini. Community Development Authority, this is where it all starts. It's chaired by Rob Richardson. Plan Commission, that's chaired by Joe Meyer. And then our staff. Sam Schultz is our Director of Development, major piece of this. Our legal team, Chris Smith and the great Alan Markowitz. Alan couldn't be here today, but I can sense his well wishes. Village engineer, Tony Byer. Tammy Simon, she is our village administrator and the glue that holds the whole village together. And then, of course, Claude Weiss, who's the project manager, and he's the glue that holds together the entire project. So please give them a round. So it was clear even then that economic development and increased revenue generated by Microsoft's investment would be transformational for Mount Pleasant and its neighbors. In the years since, Microsoft has become a trusted partner that is integrating into our community and exceeding promises that benefit our village and entire state. And they've done so at a remarkable pace. What was once just the seeds of vision have now come to fruition. Fruits of Microsoft's vision continue to grow. In a minute, I'll ask Microsoft President Brad Smith to join me. I know that he's looking forward to sharing more about how Microsoft is doubling down on this investment in Mount Pleasant. So before Brad steps up, I want to thank him and his team. They are the ultimate partners. They are making investments and advancing development while supporting our community in big and small ways. So Brad is president and vice chair of Microsoft. That's his official title. Unofficially, he's a huge friend of Wisconsin. He was born in Milwaukee, and he spent, and this is a fact, fun fact, he spent grades 4th through 8th grade in, did I hear it from you? Mount Pleasant. Just a few short miles from where the test centers are being built right now. He's, so anyways, now he's back in full force. He's spearheading several initiatives. Those include founding the Microsoft Tech Spark program that is leveraging technology to create employment opportunities and economic growth. He combined forces with the Green Bay Packers, strength in North Wisconsin. He created the Taylortown Tech, which is a Wisconsin-focused venture capital firm. So let's face it, Brad is a cheesehead. He also founded the AI Co-Invention Lab in Wisconsin to advance AI capabilities in the manufacturing industry, which is the bedrock of our state's economy. There's more, but what I heard from the man himself, I'm so looking forward to hearing from co-chief and president, Brad Sven.
Good morning. Oh, I was like, wow, I don't remember people in Wisconsin being so quiet. So it's great to see all of you. It is wonderful for me to be back. It is just an honor and a pleasure to join these three leaders on stage. And what I really want to do this morning is tell you what's going on and where we're going and a little bit about the future. Let me give you the headline first. For those of you who were here when I was here, we announced last year in May that we would spend $3.3 billion. We're almost finished spending all of that money. And I'll tell you about what that money has bought because it is what you all and the people of Wisconsin have built. I'll share a little bit about what's inside that building. But the other big part of the news is what we're building next. Because what we're announcing today is, in addition to that $3.3 billion, we're now committing to spend another $4 billion here in Sutton. We are growing, jobs are growing, computing is growing, and it is an extraordinary thing. Let me just share why it's so extraordinary. When the data center that you've seen rising up in Mount Pleasant goes live early next year, it will house what is literally the most powerful supercomputer on planet Earth. In fact, that building will have a supercomputer that is 10 times more powerful than any supercomputer anywhere in the world. Now, I just think it's worth pausing for just a moment to reflect on that. As a kid who grew up here, just think about what that says about Wisconsin. The state that produces not just the best Major League Baseball and football, basketball teams, not just the best corn, the best cheese in the world, not just a state that's seeing a resurgence in advanced manufacturing, but the world's most powerful computer. All of that in a single state. That is extraordinary. Let me just give you a little bit more detail. First, about the computing infrastructure itself. It is the definition of the state of the art. In part because of the hundreds of thousands of advanced NVIDIA chips, graphical processing units, or GPUs. Because of Microsoft's relationship with NVIDIA, and because NVIDIA, frankly, is such a great pioneering company and partner of Microsoft, we've been able to work with them so that it's going to have hundreds of thousands of the new, what are called Blackwell GB200 NVIDIA chips. That is sort of the heart of the computing power. But it's not just the number of chips. It's not just the advanced nature of those chips. It's the way this computer has been designed. Because it has been designed like no other computer any company has ever built in the world. If anybody has seen a lot of data centers, and that's not what most people spend their time looking at, the first thing you would notice about the building here is that it's actually taller than most data centers. Most data centers are only 1 story tall, and you look at that and go, wait, what happened? Why is it so tall? Well, it's because all of these GPUs are put on server racks, and they are designed to run as a singular computer. And there's a lot of things that make that possible. A lot of engineering architecture and systems design. It also involves the stacking of more computers so that they're closer together. It involves the most advanced network cabling. In fact, when that building goes online, there will be enough cable inside it to wrap around the entire planet more than 4 times. So that is a big part of what makes it possible for this data center to operate as a singular supercomputer. Now, the other thing that is required to make it so advanced is an enormous amount of storage. So when you see the aerial footage, you quickly see that there's 2 buildings that jump out to your eye. One is the big square building that's taller, and the other is the long rectangular building. That building is 5 football lengths long. That's where all the computer data is stored. And so it's that ability to bring together data to that supercomputing capacity. And then you might ask, well, that's pretty cool. What the heck are you doing with all that power? The answer is this. This is where the most powerful and advanced AI models are going to be built for the world. So this comes from Microsoft's partnership with OpenAI, as well as our own work as we look to the future with what we call MAI or Microsoft AI, and with other companies as well. So it's an extraordinary resource for this community and state, but for the country and for the world in terms of what we believe AI has the potential to do to solve the problems that need to be solved as we look ahead. It's been a great thing for local jobs, as you know. There have been, at its peak, 3,000 construction workers there. We're hiring now for the permanent jobs, call it around 400 permanent jobs, folks who will work for Microsoft. And when we talk about the expansion, the next phase, you can pretty much think of everything as doubling. So we'll continue with that kind of construction work. For the next stage, which will come online in about 2027 or after, and it's an opportunity to keep growing. It is extraordinarily important, I think, for America's leadership in the world in terms of the future of AI, America's competition with China in the world, America's ability to serve literally the rest of the world in terms of exporting our technology and services, all of Pleasant, Wisconsin. That is an extraordinary thing. For those of you who were at the event that we had last May, where I had the opportunity to speak, there were a few things I shared in terms of what I almost would call our philosophy of doing business. And to some degree, that philosophy was made in Wisconsin as well, because I grew up here, because some of our other senior leaders grew up here, because Satya Nadella, our CEO, came from India and got his master's degree at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. So you have these very interesting ties between Microsoft and the state of Wisconsin. So for me, a first principle has always been under-promise, over-deliver. And that's why I'm so excited to say, hey, we've completed phase one. And I know that there were times last summer when people were asking, what's going to come next? Are we pausing? We did pause to think through exactly what we would build for phase two, how we would build it. And for those of you whose patience was asked to be patient, I want to say thank you. But you know, I spoke to the governor, and others, and to Dave DeGroot in particular, it was like, you stick with us, we're sticking with you. We will continue to over-deliver on every promise we make, but we won't make the promise until we're confident that we can keep it. I don't believe that is always the case in the tech sector, but it is the case for Microsoft, and it is in part because of our roots here in this community and in this state. Now, a second principle that I think is of fundamental importance, especially when you think about the magnitude of the investments that we're making here, is that the best way to build a great business is to be a good neighbor. In fact, we understand completely. We want to be the kind of neighbor that all of you want to see grow over time. Not just this year, but for years ahead and the decade ahead and beyond. And there's a lot that goes into being a good neighbor. So one of the things I want to do this morning is talk about some of the questions that I know are on the minds of the neighborhood, because they would be on the minds of any neighborhood. Let's talk about water and electricity. Now let me give you the bottom line first. This data center does not use very much water, but it does use a lot of electricity. And let me give you a bit of an explanation about each. The first is, why do people even talk about water for computers? I mean, you don't fill up your computer at home with water, do you? What's different about these? Well, cooling is critical, because these chips are so powerful that they are very hot. They have to be constantly cooled, or they would overheat and frankly burn out. So anyone who builds this kind of data center, or really any kind of data center, has to have a strategy for cooling. Now, as a company, we build and operate data centers around the world. Noel Walsh, who leads this business for us, pretty much leads the largest infrastructure building and operating company on the planet right now because of our construction. So we've just finished bringing online a big data center in Phoenix. I've been to places like Dubai and Abu Dhabi and Qatar. We build data centers in the desert. That's because we figured out how to run them without using a lot of water. What it runs on is what's called a closed-loop liquid cooling system. So think of it this way. Those chips are really hot. The only way to keep the temperature down is to constantly run liquid through them so that the temperature stays down. Well, water is not actually the best liquid to use, in all honesty. I mean, anybody who has a car knows that you have antifreeze and it's not water. So mostly we use a liquid that has antifreeze that's not that different from the antifreeze that is used in other major mechanical pieces of equipment, and some degree of water. It's filled up, and then once we turn on this data center, it runs and runs and runs again in a constant circulation. How does that work? Well, water comes in cold from one part of the data center. It then cools the chips. Of course, as it cools the chips, the temperature of the antifreeze, the liquid, rises. So then it has to get pumped to another building where you will find not just a site that has the most powerful supercomputer in the world, but the second largest chilling plant in the world. Where's the first? It's in the Middle East, it's in Qatar, and the second is in Wisconsin. That chiller runs on electricity. It uses big fans to bring the temperature of the liquid back down, and then it just keeps going on and on. Now, we do use water in some places at some time. Let me explain how and why. While the GPUs in that big building are all cooled through that liquid system, the computers that run the storage system are mostly air-cooled. What does that mean? It means that we're able to take air from the outside, bring it to the inside, circulate it in those buildings and over those computers to keep their temperature down. If they don't run as hot, it's not as big a challenge. And this is technology we perfected by operating data centers in the desert. There's only one time in the year, or one period in the year, when we need any water from the local water supply at all. It's when the outside air temperature in Mount Pleasant, Wisconsin is more than 85 degrees. Because as long as the air temperature is below 85, we can just pull in the air. When it's above 85, we bring in the air and we sprinkle into it droplets of water to cool the air so it's below 85 degrees and it can do its job. So how much water do we use a year? Well, as you might have read if you saw the story yesterday, the answer is we're permitted and we expect we'll run about 2.8 million gallons per year. Now, if you're like me, I don't know what the heck that means. It sounds like a big number. 2.8 million gallons is the amount of water that it would take to fill 4 swimming pools, 4 Olympic-size swimming pools. That's a year. Now, just to compare that, when Foxconn was planning to build here, they were permitted to use more than 7 million gallons every day. So 2.8 million a year is tiny compared to 7.8 million a day. But if you want to know the definition of tiny, we will use enough water to fill 4 swimming pools. Lake Michigan has enough water to fill 2 billion swimming pools. Good news, Lake Michigan has nothing to fear from our data center. And in truth, the reason we came here, and I, as you can imagine, paid a lot of attention to our decision to come here when I realized that this was a possibility, is not because of proximity to Lake Michigan. I love looking at Lake Michigan, but those computers, they do not have eyes, and you cannot see Lake Michigan from I-43, as you all know. It's because, frankly, because of the big bet that this fellow behind me, Dave DeGroot, made, in all honesty. Because he made a bet on Foxconn. And because the village of Mount Pleasant bet on Foxconn, there was created the opportunity for that company to buy this land, to get the zoning, to start with the village on the permitting, and to line up the electricity that would be needed. And this is an extraordinary, almost historical story. Because sometimes people with a great vision don't find the first path up to the top of the mountain, the one that gets them all the way there. But everybody in this room and everybody in this region should know that if you have a great vision and you're persistent and your people stick with you, you can sometimes find a second path. And that was where Microsoft fit in. We came not because of Lake Michigan, because of the vision of the village of Mount Pleasant and the ability to buy that land and have it ready for this kind of infrastructure. So I will always be enormously appreciative today. On electricity a bit. Just speaking plainly, this thing doesn't use a lot of water as a data center, but it uses a substantial amount of electricity. That part is true. You can't power all of those computers and all of that liquid cooling and all of those chillers without a lot of electricity. More than 400 megawatts for this phase one. What that means is, as we go to a second phase, think about it as requiring about another comparable amount, call it another 400. We may be to 900 megawatts by the time we have these two things built together. Well, that's another number that it doesn't have a lot of meaning to most people. You don't get up in the morning and talk to your kids or your spouse and say, well, how many megawatts do you think we use today? The answer is not much. But it matters. And you can't build or operate something like this without an extraordinary amount of collaboration and cooperation. It includes, and really most days starts with the leadership of We Energy and the people who work there, and we are enormously grateful to We Energy. It also requires the leadership of somebody like Governor Evers and others at the state and county level. As we look at electricity, we also have a set of principles or philosophy, if you will, that guide us in that space. First principle is we need to be prepared to invest to add to the electrical grid the amount of power we will use. Because otherwise, there's not going to be enough power for everybody else. And I earlier this year testified before a Senate committee, and somebody else from the industry said, well, yeah, but our use is better than anybody else's, everybody should be excited. I said, no. We need to invest to bring online the new amount of electricity we will consume. And that's what we've done with We Energy, and that's what we've done with the state, and that's what we constantly work on with the Public Service Commission. Now, there's a second promise that I think is in some ways even more important to the neighbors. Nothing we do should ever raise the cost of electricity for the neighbors, for the county, for the village. Otherwise, we know people are going to grow less excited about our continuing to expand. So what we do, what we've done here, is pursue proposed rate tariffs for electricity so that we pay more to cover the cost, including the cost of improving the electrical grid, so that the electricity can flow from the power plant or power plants in We Energy to our data center. And then the third commitment that we have, our third philosophical focus, if you will, is whenever the electricity that we need comes from fossil fuel, we will invest to bring into the neighboring grid an equal amount of new electricity from carbon-free energy sources, like nuclear or wind or solar or hydro. Those are pretty much the four. Now, part of what that means here in Wisconsin is that in addition to the construction project that you see in Mount Pleasant, there is right now in Portage County, Wisconsin, the construction of a 250 megawatt solar farm that we are paying for to bring to the people of Wisconsin. And we're paying for similar kinds of investments in what is called the regional electrical grid. And we would love to see more carbon-free energy come online in Wisconsin itself. And until that's possible, for everything we might want to do, we'll build it into what is operated as a singular electrical grid in the upper Midwest, even if the actual addition is in a place like Iowa. So we're working on all of these things together. And I just want everybody here to know that this is a constant commitment. And we live in a country where different folks are elected at different times, different policies come into place. But we know that it doesn't matter where we are. People don't want to see us cause their electricity bill to rise, and we will continue to focus on this mix of energy sources. I do want to say what I did not promise was that nobody's going to have a rate increase in electricity. Because across the country, if you follow, it doesn't matter whether you live near a data center or not, electricity prices have been rising. I think mostly because we had this period of inflation, and now as public utility commissions take stock of it all, they're allowing on a regulated basis the price of electricity to catch up to that early inflation. I just want you to know we are doing everything we can, and I believe we're succeeding in managing this issue well, so that you all don't have to pay more for electricity because of our presence. Now, what's more important than water and electricity? People. That's what matters more than anything else. And that's why we're also investing in the people of Mount Pleasant, of Racine County, and throughout the state of Wisconsin. And we're doing that in a bunch of different ways. We work with Gateway Technical College to create Wisconsin's first data center academy. This is so folks who grow up here can go get the training and the certification here so they can fill the jobs that we're creating here. And I think that is one really important element. But that's just where it starts. It's not where it stops. It's why we were so excited to create at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, together with the help of the Packers, the manufacturing, the AI manufacturing hub, which is already going to work with local manufacturers across the state, including in Racine. I'm going to spend a little bit of time later this morning at Wisconsin, a wonderful manufacturer here in Racine itself that has been one of the early participants in that innovation lab. You know, it's why you're going to see us take other steps, working more with the schools in Racine. And they've only got one thing just slightly off. Most years I lived here, I went to school in Mount Pleasant, but I went to sixth grade in Franklin Elementary School, just the building's no longer here. So I also went to school in Racine itself. And it's why we're doing so much work United Way here, with other nonprofits here, you know, to really make sure that we're creating the kind of benefits that will reach people across the county as well as across the state. So when you put it all together, I just want to conclude with one last note, and it's a real note of gratitude. There is no way that any company, doesn't matter how big it is, could build what we have built here, could look to the future the way we look to the future here, without an extraordinary amount of help. You know, it includes the thousands of people, 10,000 workers who contributed to the construction of what we're now announcing as a new family of data centers, what we call our Fairwater data centers, and what you're going to see open next year is called Fairwater 1. And it's, of course, the people who constructed the building, who are laying all those cables, all the electricians and the pipe fitters. It also includes people across the state who fabricated the steel, who built the chillers. It's people in Minnesota and Indiana who helped build the generators that will be at that facility as well. But perhaps more than anything, it requires great people who work for the state of Wisconsin, for the county of Racine, for the village of Mount Pleasant. It's, in many instances, people that you've never met or heard of. It's the people who work and process and think hard about all of the permitting implications. It's the people who have worked with us in Governor Evers' office to help identify where are we going to find all the workers and get them here to build something like this. It's people who think about the transportation needs. How's the steel going to get from northern Wisconsin to southeastern Wisconsin so that we can put it to work? And of course, it's always the leaders themselves. The governor, the county executive, the village president. I will always look back at this phase of what we've been able to do here and keep in mind one thing that probably makes me more proud growing up here than anything else. It's when one of our state government affairs folks who works across the country said she likes working with people in Wisconsin better than anywhere else. This truly is the world's most powerful supercomputer, the world's most powerful supercomputer made in Wisconsin, made by the people of Wisconsin, that will serve the state of Wisconsin, the United States of America, the world as a whole. Thank you. You should be proud. I am proud to say I grew up here in Racine, Wisconsin, at Mount Pleasant. Thank you.
Wow. The largest supercomputer in the world by a factor, and the second largest chilling plant in the world, built in Wisconsin. Something to contemplate as you sip in your coffee this morning. And looking at minority leader as you sip in your coffee. But it's huge. It's huge in so many ways. I'm just pinching myself because of the opportunity partnership that we were able to create with Microsoft. Not only a technological leader, but a humanitarian company as well. So give Brad another round. So while I've been limiting my comments to Mount Pleasant and its close in suburbs, my next speaker, the county executive of Racine, he takes a little bit broader view of things, a little bit more of a 30,000-foot view of things, because he has other considerations that are important to the county. And the county has been our lockstep partner from day one when we first formed TIP 5. We frankly didn't have the financial bandwidth to do so. We needed a co-signer because we were signing off on some pretty major bonding to put in the infrastructure, the sewer, the water, other many things that go to create a multi-thousand acre development project. So if you would, please help me welcome Racine County Executive, loved by the community, my friend, Ralph Malady.
Dave took some of the words out of my mouth, and the first word that I want to say is wow. Awesome, right? Can we give Brad, the Microsoft team, and all the leaders, the residents in the room so far that made this happen and got us to this point today? It's truly great to have all of you here in Racine County today. As county executive, my biggest priority has been identifying ways for our local government, community, and businesses to work together to give back and create a vibrant future in Racine County. We're thrilled to be part of this moment. We're proud at how we've arrived at this point through real partnership, consistent communication, and a shared commitment to long-term growth. In just a few years, Microsoft has emerged as a driving force for growth and opportunity in Racine County. Their $3 billion investment here and an additional $4 coming up is creating thousands of construction jobs and hundreds of family-sustaining careers. Just as important, they're helping prepare our residents for these jobs, as you heard, through a new partnership with Gateway Technical College. A data center certificate program will be in place to give local students a direct path into this growing field. This commitment extends beyond the classroom. Microsoft supported our summer youth employment program and donated hundreds of laptops, ensuring our residents have the tools to learn, find work, stay connected, and keep growing. At a time when Wisconsin is facing a worker shortage and a shrinking working age population,
Microsoft is leading by example to help people build careers, live and work, and keep Racine County strong. Microsoft has also built deep ties with our local business and economic development community through RCEDC and RAMAC. And they work directly with local government, not just to build, but to learn, listen, and align with our priorities. And through their contractors, they're opening doors for local businesses and suppliers to be a part of this historic investment. Additionally, investments in our environmental sustainability that help protect our local ecosystem and water quality through various grassroots projects advance through the Wood Pike Wind. The Land Stewardship Program at the Eco Justice Center in Caledonia, with Microsoft support, has allowed the center to use EcoJ land to leverage sustainable farming practices and produce fresh, organic food to share with the community members who need it, while offering opportunities for the community to experience the land as a living classroom. And while we're joined by senior leadership from Microsoft, I want to take a moment to recognize the local leadership that's helped bring this partnership to life. Krista Venegas and Derek Winston. Their dedication to collaboration, follow through, and maximizing impact has made a real difference. This kind of local engagement matters. It creates the conditions for sustainable growth, and today's announcement reflects that. The next phase of investment from Microsoft is a major step forward, not only for Racine County, but for the entire region. It creates opportunity, accelerates innovation, and reinforces Southeast Wisconsin, reinforces that Southeast Wisconsin can compete and lead on a global scale. Just behind the curtain back there, President DeGroot was talking about everything was happening on the coast. Why not here in the Midwest? Well, it's finally happening here in the Midwest. On behalf of Racine County, I want to thank Microsoft for their continued investment, not just in our infrastructure, but as you heard, in our people and our potential. We're proud to be part of this work, and we're looking forward to what's ahead, and there's a lot ahead. With that, thank you.
Thank you, Ralph. Yeah, it's a big impact, not only on the village, but certainly across our county and in the Southeast Wisconsin region as well. So, you know, it's an important day when you have the sitting governor in the House. So our next guest really doesn't need any other introduction, but I simply want to say that the state of Wisconsin, of which he's the highest ranking official, has been such an awesome partner to us every step of the way. I echo some congrats, comments with respect to that. So without any further ado, if you allow me to mix metaphors, not only batting cleanup, but kicking the extra point too, please welcome the governor of the great state of Wisconsin.
There's lots more other people that do better with batting cleanup. Now, let's wait for the rules. Anyway, good morning, everybody. It's great to be back in Racine County to be with President Smith, as well as County Executive Malecki and Village President DeGroot for this really exciting announcement. Just over a year ago, we were here to welcome Microsoft's announcement that they plan, excuse me, working on the goal to invest more than $3.3 billion to make Wisconsin one of the hubs of the global AI efforts. If you remember, At that time, I said that state's partnership with Microsoft marked a watershed moment for Wisconsin. I didn't realize back then what an understatement that was. Brad told us with this investment, Microsoft is making Wisconsin home of the most powerful data center in the world. I'm excited to hear that construction of the current data system is moving along and that facility will be coming online next year. We've also seen the benefits to Wisconsin workers with tens of thousands of construction workers and skilled laborers participating in this project. This project is creating good, family-sustaining union jobs across the entire region for carpenters, plumbers, electricians, and so many more. This new data center coming online next year, Microsoft has already started hiring a team now. These jobs are creating long-term opportunities for hundreds of highly skilled Wisconsin workers. But as we heard today, that is just the start. I'm thrilled that Microsoft is more than doubling their commitment to add to Wisconsin with an additional $4 billion in a second data center, raising the total investment to more than $7 billion. But this new data center campus here in Mount Pleasant is complete. It will be the most advanced AI data center in the world, delivering 10 times the performance of the world's fastest supercomputer today, and also featuring the largest number of GPUs under the roof. That puts Wisconsin on the very cutting edge of AI power, not just in the United States, but across the world. Now, I know I'm a little biased, but I can't imagine a better place than Wisconsin to be the home of the new world-changing technology. Throughout our history, innovation has been key to Wisconsin's success, championing ideas and discoveries that have transformed people's lives the world over. This announcement is no different. It's because common sense to say that AI has the power to change the world in more ways than we can imagine. No, but that's true. For example, AI is key to breakthroughs in the fields of biohealth and personalized medicine, where Wisconsin is a recognized national leader. Through the power of AI, medical teams can find new ways to micro-target treatments for each individual patient, shortening recovery times and improving outcomes. AI is also creating a revolution in advanced manufacturing, which is another area of state's economy, where Wisconsin excels. Thanks to Microsoft's partnerships with the New Innovation Lab at UW-Milwaukee, hundreds of small and medium-sized business owners are learning how to use AI and to improve their productivity and remain competitive. Not altogether, this partnership is setting up Wisconsin to be a world's class workforce, up to be a change maker on the global scale, and that commitment to success will always provide dividends in the years ahead. Before I close today, I want to recognize one of the folks who has been so very important building our state's relationship with Microsoft. WBD's Secretary and CEO, Mr. Hughes. After an incredible run, this is leaving our administration soon. And I want to thank her for her work, not just with Microsoft, but helping to create success stories like this in every part of the state of Wisconsin. So thank you, Ms. Ingeborg. By recognizing and thanking Brad Smith and the entire Microsoft team for their commitment, the state of Wisconsin, and the vision for our shared future. I look forward to this exciting new chapter in our partnership. Can't wait to see what's coming next. Thanks so much, folks. Thank you.
Wow, what a great day again. So thank you, Microsoft. Thank you, State of Wisconsin. Thank you, Racine County, and the rest of our partners, M7, list is long. Thank you so much for making this such a momentous day, such a historical opportunity. Go back, go.